Welcome to this BVTV Spotcast Trilogy, coming to you from the UK studios of BizVision. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. Now, in the USA, they've called it the Great Resignation. In the UK, the tremor has started as 1 in 4 employees are predicted to move jobs. And that's just a small estimate. It could be larger. It's a huge challenge for businesses to cope with such a loss of talent, especially as those businesses struggle to recover from the pandemic or look to seize opportunity. Now, in this trilogy, I'm talking to an expert in reducing the flight risk of valued team members. She is Vicky Oliver. Welcome, Vicky.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm looking forward. Now, you are in a girl from that city of New York, which has seen such a trauma this last week with 9/11, hasn't it?
Yes, we in New York are very, very sturdy, okay? Because we have had our traumas. September 11th was a trauma, the original September 11th. And of course, you know, where I live in New York City, we were hit very, very hard by the pandemic also. Mm-hmm. Very, very hard. And then I would say in June, it seemed like we were going to get out of it because about 70% of the people here are vaccinated. And it seemed like we were going to survive, you know, we're New Yorkers. But now, unfortunately, the Delta variant is frightening everybody. And we're all wondering, it's like we're taking a collective breath and holding our breath and saying, what is going to happen next?
Yeah. I'm sure you'll be fine if everybody behave sensibly. Well, Vicky, welcome to this People Retention Trilogy, the Vicky Oliver Trilogy for our BVTV People and Team Spotcast channel. Now, over the 3 episodes, we'll talk about how to retain people and how to sustain that retention. But for episode 1, let me ask you on one of my multi-layered questions. I try to get as much in as I can, you know. Can you set the scene for us and the challenge that companies face? What's happening? What's caused it? Why are workers wanting to leave? And what do companies need to have as foundational thinking before they can tackle the problem?
Okay, so go back 2 years ago, right? People were going into the office 5 days a week, every single week, right? It was a privilege, an honor, a perk to get even a little time off, to be able to go pick up your child, you know, at a school play. That was considered a perk like 2 years ago, all right? Then the pandemic swooped in like the modern plague, and suddenly all work went remote, 100% remote. And first, workers had to adjust to the technology challenges of that and to learn new things and new skills. Zoom, you know, how does it work? How do you conduct a meeting remotely? All those things, right? How do you keep the dog from barking as your meeting is going on? All those things. And then after about maybe 6 months of that, collectively, workers learned the technical skills that we needed to do it. Managers learned how to do it all online, right? And suddenly people began feeling, you know, there are some advantages to working from home. I don't have to commute, right? I don't have to deal with the politics as much at the office as I used to. I don't have to deal with the water cooler gossip if I don't want to, right? And I have more time to devote to my tasks. I can be maybe more productive this way. If I can just keep my time organized, I can be productive. And then the pandemic, maybe 6 more months went by with the pandemic because it's been over 1.5 years, right? And people began to say, workers began to say, you know, do I actually like what I'm doing? Do I really respect my employer? Maybe there's something better. Now that I have all these technical skills, maybe there's something better out there for me. And so it's been sort of a long gestation period, but I feel that people are reevaluating their bosses and their coworkers and their colleagues and saying, do I really like this? Am I being appreciated? Maybe there's something better out there for me.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And we mustn't forget that anxiety is still around. A lot of people are grieving, aren't they? For lost ones, lost relatives and that. And I've just got this feeling that too many bosses are being too pushy on demanding people go back to work without them having learned that compassion and care is one of the skills of good leaders these days. What do you think?
I tend to agree with you. I mean, I think what's happening is that there's going to ultimately be more of a hybrid model.
Mm-hmm.
And so there will be people working remotely some of the time from their homes and their apartments and some of the time in person. And that experience also has to be negotiated because maybe there's no reason to go in. If there's not a meeting or a new business pitch or something, like why drag people in just because it's Wednesday or whatever, So that all has to be recalibrated. A lot has to be recalibrated, There might be more time now to reflect on one's employer's values and your employer's missions now that you're not in the thick of it so much every day.
Yes.
Before, like if you sat in a cubicle, you had to worry, oh, is my phone call being overheard? Did my boss overhear me say this? Like there's a lot of distractions in the cubicle culture. And we have been removed from that for like a year and a half. So I think there's this massive like recalibration and rethinking that's happening that's contributing to that.
Yeah, I just worry that many leaders haven't got the skills to do that. Excellent word that you've just come up, recalibration, because previously they would sit in their corner office and fire off emails and send them down like tablets of stone. And now they've actually got to be compassionate and talk to people in a human nature point of view.
Yes, they do. It's funny you say that because I feel like there's always that doubt if the person who rises actually has the talents needed to rise. Like they might have the basic talents of research that's required, the job specific talents, but do they have the talents that they need to retain their employees? That's the question.
Yeah, too true. Thanks, Vicky. Now, let me remind our audience of your URL, your website address, which obviously viewers you can see on the screen behind me. But for listeners, let me spell that out. And it's a good, easy one to remember. It's all the W's, Vicky spelled Vicky, VickyOliver.com. Vicky's written 5 best-selling books, including this one that you can see on the screen. I love the titling of it. Bad Bosses, Crazy Co-Workers, and Other Office Idiots, published by Source Books. Briefly, Vicky, you've got to tell us, what's the focus of the book and what does it aim to do for the reader?
Thank you so much for asking me that question. I perceive that the book is like a thesaurus of all the difficult personality types that can drive you crazy in an office. And my intent with the book was to make it so that you could look up the type of person that drives you crazy, learn what to do about it, how to handle that person, deal with that person, make the problem disappear, and then close the book until the next person drives you crazy and you can find the type in the book and you can read what to do. That's what I wanted it to be, like a perennial book that you're always referring to, like a dictionary of difficult personalities that are driving you nuts. That's what I wanted. And then at the end of the book, about a third of the way towards the end, there's a place where you can reflect on whether you're the problem. Maybe you're the problem, and it isn't just like your bosses and your coworkers, but you are. Because a big theory of the book was that the same people that drive you crazy will always drive you crazy. So if you can't deal with that workaholic, micromanaging boss that you have, it's not going to help to switch jobs because the same personality type will be there. Yeah. Better figure out how to deal with the personality type and stay where you are and get the raises and the promotions that are due to you.
Brilliant. I love the title and I love the approach. Vicky, thanks for this vital scene setter, a start to your trilogy. In the coming 2 episodes of your trilogy, we'll be talking about how to manage the talent loss challenge and do it sustainably.